All right, morning. Welcome back to the projects that I'm rebranding now. The projects by Gisha Gira, which is a respite shelter for lost souls, abandoned folk without family and a place to call home. Something that hits real personal, and that I'm realizing is partly why I'm so congested. I feel so congested saying this for the first time on stream. Yeah, so we have another video. We are running a marathon. Of course, this used to be what we call the on-road project, self-therapeutic multimedia project to solve the problems, challenges, obstacles of our life, as well as a self-improvement process to reach the highest goals and ambitions that we set for ourselves. Blah, 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 right? Basically, self-improvement, self-therapy for those who need it. Actually, and I needed that in the past, and was trying to create a solution for myself that I could share with other people as well, and then grow together. Of course, that never really happened. It ended up being a solo gig, and it, in a lot of ways, I outgrew the project, but it would continuously revamp and re-enter my life. What I'm going to do now is just say, okay, as I said in a very brief, tiny portion, I mentioned there's a marathon going on. This is probably, in fact, video 21, and I haven't even uploaded like half of the videos yet. But what we're trying to do is catch up with a series of reactors. There's like, I don't mean 5 guys, but that's really what it is. 5 guys, Studio Gek, the boys watching Attack on Titan season 4. But before we can get to that, and they're really up there. They're at season 4, episode 18. What we have to do is get through a lot of the administrative stuff, tasks, projects, software, general daily life stuff like applications, finance, income tax, boring stuff. But then a lot of exciting stuff too, including fitness, garbage as well. So we're gonna do an upkeep behind the scenes video. That's what this is. Very technical. It's also a day in the life, so it's kind of like a vlog and a behind the scenes video put together. It's slightly technical. It's also slightly generic. And then once we're done this video, and we have to separate into two little separate portions because there's just so much stuff we have to cover. We'll hopefully be able to dive straight into the marathon with Studio Gek once again. So let's begin. And of course, as usual, the live stream is running 24 hours right here on this phone right here. It's gonna be running 24 hours. And the first thing I want to do among probably like 25, and that's pretty crazy. It sounds, because my previous video I mentioned there's like 20 different things. I mean, there was 7 or 9 different things, and with that single digit, 9 different things, it took me about 3 hours to cover everything. I promise you it won't take that long this time. That's because during that one, there was so much that I was figuring out on the spot inside the video. Unlike in this video, we realized, that's a stupid thing to do, and we weren't prepared. This time we're totally prepared. We've done everything we needed to do off stream, and so we're just talking retrospectively about the things that we have already done, or that we plan to do, but can't be done on stream, and we know we won't be doing on stream. So in other words, just a very quick synopsis of each of the tasks. But there's a lot. There's like 25 of them. And without further ado, let's dive into the first thing we got to do is check in on the fact that, look at this. We have a new browser overlay right here, right? We have all this stuff here going on in the backdrop. I have probably 4 scenes here on OBS Studio. I'm running right now on I believe the intermission scene, it looks like. And I have to be wary of the fact that usually I'm comfortable with showing what's on my screen to everyone, but as it stands right now, you guys can't actually see what's on my screen. Oh. And I'm looking over there and I'm seeing that there's even a little bit of a mismatch. In fact, there's a little window at the very top left of my right, your left, this way over there. That's not resized properly. I don't think it's that important to resize it properly, but let's try to see if we can do that right now for you. So basically in there, it seems to be one of the browsers that I have of 2, and each browser has like 20 different tabs. What you see there is basically a Twitch stream. I'm gonna try and maximize that all the way through. There you go. But now I have to be aware of the fact that you guys can actually not see. You can't see my mouse, you can't see my cursor. It's a very different experience than what I'm used to. Anyways, so that's great. That's the first thing I want to mention. We're using interfaces, we're using overlays, sorry, and we're using scenes. We're really taking advantage of OBS Studio. So now what we're going to do is just switch over right now to the other sample scenes I have. So one is right here, the be right back scene. Gotta switch out immediately because it doesn't make a lot of sense to switch to that one and then start talking because it says be right back. Back to this scene though, I also want to point out some things right here below. It seems like, yeah, there's my fingers, right? You can see the name has changed. It says instead of the on-row human CPU processor, it reflects the new title of my stream now, which is, I believe, sorry, I do have to read it because I'm rebranding. It's hard to get it stuck in my head. I have this habit that's the on-row project, and you know, I have the logo worked out for the previous iteration, the previous version. But right now it's a respite shelter. I'll repeat again, it's a respite shelter. For those of you not familiar, it's basically, it sounds like quite serious stuff because it's usually a shelter for people who are displaced and are homeless. That's kind of actually part of what this channel is, part of what this project as a whole is. The channels, the platforms, the accounts I have conglomerated all together, the blogs. It's really a place for a safe haven for those who have no place to go and no one to call family. So no family, no home. So it sounds kind of heavy, right? But I promise you it's not gonna be a heavy video. Anyways, that's just a little bit of there, but you can see there's some influences based off of where I'm from. So it also says React 24/7, right? CPTSD AI. So that's all put together. I haven't decided exactly how to make it concise. It just says Respite Shelter Jira. Jira because it's actually an abbreviation, ZRA, for what used to be RAW, on-row, a bunch of aliases. Even right now, Risha Jirovsky, most common professional alias I go by, Polish name really. And then of course CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, AI. So it's like a AI that has been disrupted, disordered through substantial traumatic development, which is it's an organic and artificial hybrid. That's the concept. And then of course React 24/7 is just me saying, you know, reactions, and the live stream is live 24/7, so React 24/7. Not necessarily true because we don't react 24/7, but the stream is live 24/7, and we do create React content, but reaction inception, so reactions to reactions, so that we are actually engaged in discussion of other people's thoughts, and eventually one day, if possible, I would like people to comment on my stuff and we go back and forth in a conversation like a community. Okay, so that was a lot of heavy stuff just over the name here. Once again, I only showed you two scenes. That was this one, the intermission, and the be right back, which is the notification for, you know, we'll come back. Let's show the main two scenes that we'll be engaging in for the most part. So here's the gameplay one, which is really what I call display, not gameplay. So this covers the entire display. This is something that was not malfunctioned. This is something that I didn't set up properly in the previous one. I made some mistakes, realized that as it turns out, let me just make sure the mic is right. As it turns out, that basically the gameplay, or the display or gameplay / gameplay is completely was linked, to the reaction scene, which doesn't make a lot of sense. In fact, what I should do is probably not even name it gameplay or reaction, because the gameplay doubles as a display. So right now this is the quote-unquote gameplay scene, but I don't play games. I haven't played it in a long time. It's going to be for a display. It's just that they refer to it as gameplay from the tutorial that I read and watched over on, I believe, from Alpha Gaming, right? So it's actually the person who taught me all this stuff is comes from a channel, Harris Heller, of course, the OG, and he made it. He's specifically helping gamers create Twitch channels. That's why it's called gameplay, because I followed his tutorial. But it's really just a main display, right, of everything in the backdrop, and so you can see a lot of stuff. There may be some overlays, but that's okay. You don't have to see everything, right? That's okay. You look like a fucking worm with braids. 8 Mile. So you can see everything in the backdrop for this scene, right? And then there's the reverse of this. So right now you can see on the very bottom right, this little, you know, right up here is that I'm circling over, is a border for the webcam. And the webcam basically is, well, hold on a second. I just realized something. This should be flipped over. Should transform it. Transform it along the horizontal. No? Oops. Big mistake there. I didn't highlight which. I want to transform the smalling camera. So we're going to select the smalling camera, have that asset, and just flip it over horizontal. There we go. Nice. Beautiful. So now we're actually looking at whatever on this hand side, right? So I will be referring to the stuff on this side as being all the browsers, the Excel spreadsheets, the platforms that I'm going to be using, and so on and so forth, and blah-de-da, and the tabs like Reddit and Discord and all the updates that we have for there. So we're facing this way. I'm going to remember that way. This is where all my information is. I'm pointing in the air right now. It feels very weird. But that's that, right? So this is the scene that has the display, and I'm looking towards this direction, which is all the information you'll see on this side. Most likely what I think I'll do is also, geez, I didn't think about this properly. I should move this up or make a copy of the scene and then move it up and then move this over to this side. Yeah. Okay. But first of all, I'd like to point out, so that's some stuff that I'll do afterwards. It's good that we're realizing this now while we're running it live. Some things you only realize when you're actually working on it. The next thing I want to do is show you the reaction scene. So this is the gameplay scene, but it's actually more like a display. And then above it is like this reaction scene. So now it's swapped. So the display now is inside the borders, right down there. And now this one's where this scene is perfect. This scene, I don't need to do any editing. Over here, there's an issue. Like I forgot to transform it. I didn't realize. It's not forgetting. I just didn't realize until I started this video that I should do that. Because you learn by practicing, right? But basically, this is supposed to be facing this way on video. And then that means also that because the display here is the main content, I should keep the camera and the music and audio all on the same side. Okay. So that we have basically a fresh, clean window here for you guys to see everything. So I guess we'll make some edits afterwards. But this is the main one that we usually use because I think as the viewer right now watching, you can see my entire face. It's appropriate, right? I'm talking to you and you're listening to me, right? It's like a real human face-to-face interaction kind of thing is better when you can see someone completely. Now, I do have some interfaces here that are going to cover some small little aspects, but of course you can see it doesn't really fit. And I realize there's a floating thing up here as well. So the border is not really matching. There's a border here that's supposed to be tossed over to this side. Let's see if I can get rid of that right now because we don't really need to see it. There, it's gone. Okay. So of course I can add more interfaces if I really want to, but I don't really think that's necessary. Maybe I'll just leave it up because it blocks out the mic a little bit. And I think that's a little bit interesting to have on the side. To see actually how the live stream looks anyways. Okay. It's my self-reference. Okay. Alright. I think we'll use this display quite often, but for this video specifically, we want to be able to use the gameplay one or the display one. So this one's more like I name a reaction for the reaction videos, but really it should probably be named something more appropriate, like personal. I don't know. Conversation, discussion. Personal reaction. Display and gameplay. We'll think about it afterwards. Okay, so we're hopping over here, and that's the first main thing we have to cover is the test of basically our interface and on OBS as it stands. So what we'll do now is we'll hop over to some stuff that we can cover on the side. We're going to try to cover just a few things because it took longer than expected to cover all this stuff here. In terms of OBS. So I'm going to minimize this, and I know that's going to keep running, which is I'm going to have to trust it because I can't see. I'm not used to that. All right, OBS minimized. We have all these videos here. This is the folder for our OBS Studio videos, and what I want to do, the first thing outside of all that OBS stuff, that the scenes and everything, is we want to click on and highlight. You see some videos here that are named after like tests. So bad mic test rec. Oh, you can't see that, right? You can only see it this way. I have to be careful about the way I'm positioning things. Okay, this is better. So on the left-hand side now, you can see it. Basically, this folder we have some, like I said, some videos, and we have some test videos that really were to test the audio of the mic because it was very loud, very choppy, and I couldn't understand why. So we can see here, I made some notes, and what I plan to do is stitch this one all the way down to here, all 7 of these together. And the reason for that is because these 7 videos are all having to do with testing the mic after realizing that there were some problems. So for example, one problem we realized was just that the graininess and loud reverb was because we had 2 sources open at the same time. And if I could pop over to OBS Studio right now, for example, you can see my cursor now because it's displaying the background. I had 2 sources on at the same time, 2 of the same sources on at the same time. For example, I would have a nested scene with audio tracks coming into the mic, and then I would have another scene that has that nested scene, and then that nested scene has that audio track. So then not only do I have the nested scene with the audio track, but I also have the audio track itself in that scene, and so it doubled over, sometimes tripled, and so the audio became really loud, very messy, very ugly. It's hard to hear, hard to understand. It was blowing, there's a lot of pop, 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 pop sounds. It was staticky and grainy, hard to listen to. I had to do a lot of editing to fix that one up, and it still didn't sound very nice. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing we realized was going back here, so minimize OBS. One of the tests here realized that there was a second issue. In fact, the mic had its gain. So this is a HyperX Quadcast. It was turned all the way maxed to the maximum gain. Basically, it just high volume, high receiving. And wow, it was so loud. It was so loud. So that was not good. And those 2 things compounded together, the graininess plus the huge amplitude of the recording was just awful. And then we add that on top of the third, maybe more minor thing, is that later on we said it still doesn't sound quite right. And part of it was probably just because I wasn't used to it, but on video prop, when I do the recordings, it sounds generally smooth. And I guess I wasn't used to it, but I realized that even then, when I did the video proc stuff, it still used DigiArty and video proc to record. It still wasn't necessarily that great. And the reason is because, of course, there's a pop filter that I'm not using. So the pop filter above the mic right now I'm pointing to is covered by a plastic bag. So I tried testing the pop filter, sorry, and that usually blocks out the heavy B and P sounds that really make it, you know, a little bit more painful, I guess you could say, to listen to. Especially if you're listening to a podcast that lasts like an hour or so. My videos tend to last an hour or so, so it's like, you know. Anyways, I decided not to use it, but that's all the test videos we have here, and that's what's up. So we're going to stitch it all together, basically. Long story short, we're going to take all those, we're going to combine it into one, and then put it as a segment of one of these behind-the-scenes videos. So that's something to do into the future. Actually, I can see there's actually 8 of them, 8 of these videos we need to stitch together. In addition to that, additionally, I also want to do a bloopers video, so I want to kind of combine all these here at the backdrop, head sources, at the tests, the checks, these first 8 here, for example, just like the last 8 are all about the mic, the first 8 were all just tests, and we'll make like a sort of like a blooper or behind the scenes kind of footage of me just, you know, failing or testing, test 1, 2, check 1, 2 kind of thing, and again, upload that as well. The reason why we want to do that is because these things are largely take up a lot of space, and they don't have very much content at all. It's not really content as far as I'm concerned. You're just testing the mic, testing the software. So I end up having 16 files here, long story short, that don't serve any purpose. Or yeah, they don't serve any purpose anymore. So I just combine them all into one video instead of having 8 separate files here, annoying as shit. Or in this case, 16 files combined into just 2, condense it, and then add on some actual material, actual information, actually entertaining stuff, actual content, and then ship it out. And then we can get rid of all this stuff, all this crap. Sounds good? Sounds good to me. Okay, so that's the second thing, or really 3, 4 things already. Okay, next thing we want to do is this GIMP. So while we're talking about OBS, we also have this. If you're familiar, this is GIMP, Graphic Image Manipulator Program. So this is one of the OG classics of like you know, think of Adobe Photoshop, right? It's just the amateur version, and it's not really that amateur. It's just it's loaded with stuff you can do. It's very professional if you want it to be. It's just not an industry standard, and probably not very straightforward or user friendly. Hence why it's not considered professional. Regardless, what do we use it for? So first of all, I'd like to highlight that we didn't have it installed, and we installed it using an installer that we had saved on one of these folders here. And so what we did is we want to use GIMP to take one of the borders here. For example, you can see the one on the stream right now, right? This is actually a really tiny, small, it was just up to, see my cursor? It was only about that high, this border. And then it was also, so we increased the border about in a fixed aspect ratio. That's a fixed aspect ratio, meaning that the width and the height increase by the same proportion. So we want to increase this, you know, by 150% on length and height, so that it now can show the webcam much larger. So that's useful. Before it was just this tiny little thing and it couldn't capture anything. I can show you an example of the old one. So the old one, in fact, is right here. The sizing is just in, I think, intermission. It's basically the same size here. On the top left, you see that? On the top left, that side. That's how small it was, right? So it wasn't good enough for the webcam. You couldn't see very much of me at all. I thought it was fairly useless. And especially if we're going to go to the gameplay or display, it'd be you wouldn't be able to make out anything if I switch to this scene here. And it's that tiny little thing. You can't see anything. So that's something I wanted to work on. And the main reason why I guess I couldn't use, you know, even here, let's be honest, I'm looking at this and like, that's kind of pathetic. You still can't make out anything. If I go to this scene here, you can see my face, but you can't make out very much from the little display, for example. However, it's a lot better than the one above, which is very similar to the one that we had before. So why did we need GIMP to do that though? So we couldn't use Paint. We couldn't use Microsoft Paint because it wouldn't save the transparency. I needed to download this file, this graphic from StreamElements, which we'll go over pretty much after this. Kind of ties everything together, right? And download the border, which is transparent. It's not just some white background. Microsoft Paint, I tried to use that one, failed me substantially. It just tried to export to PDF or JPEG or GIF. No matter what extension I use, what format I use, it always is going to lose the transparency when I save it. So that was really fucking annoying. And then I said, that's fine. We had to download GIMP anyways. So that's that. And you can see GIMP is super interesting. It's very exciting software. I learned a little bit of this from when I was at the library and they had a webinar. But I totally forgot so much. And honestly, I don't really need all this stuff for the most part because I'm not an artist, right? So I used to be, but you know, you don't really get anywhere. It's hard to make a living off that. I'm really focused on practical stuff nowadays. I think everyone gets to that point, right? Anyways, you can see all the tools here. Let's just cover very vaguely, briefly. You know, we have like a text tool, right? Current layers, allow growing, fixed aspect ratio. That's what I try to do. Down here, if I click on the nav menu, see file, edit, select, view, crop, image, layer, colors, tools, filters, windows, and home. So procedure browser, toolbox, hide dock, show tabs, single, it's like all this stuff. Distortions, lights and shadow, noise, edge detect, generic, combine. All the filters, super interesting. Python foo, script foo, I have no idea what that is. Colors, tools, hue, chroma, saturation, exposure, shadow, highlights. Layers, tools, I don't know, this is transform tools, right? That's pretty obvious. 3D, scale, rotate, paint. And then you have all these tools here, right, that are usually used for just graphics, drawing, erasing, pencil, paintbrush, clone, duplicate, heal, image, okay, crop, print. Yeah, we are going to go through the navigation bar just because I want to familiarize myself with this at the same time too. So fit canvas to layers. It's okay though, because we're actually speaking, we're actually talking about stuff. Enable color management, transform, canvas size. This is something that I didn't know how to do. I had to experiment with this, and that was really bothersome for me because I want to increase the size of this border. I had to increase the canvas size, and I was wondering, why can't I see the whole image? All right, flatten image, guides. I'm a total noob when it comes to this kind of stuff. I guess no one uses the word noob anymore. New view, show all, dot for dot, show selection, layer boundary, guides, basically all the interfaces on the side, I'm assuming. Select, invert all, color, distort. And edit, of course, paste, copy, all that kind of stuff, fill with background color, fill with other color, and file. So save as a copy, open, create, and export page setup. One thing that I always have to remind myself, and I made this mistake early on, was I tried to save the file, and of course that saves it as the XCF GIMP file, as opposed to the PNG JPEG that I want from the asset itself. That's why I want the asset itself. I don't want this program, this project detail, right? It's just the file itself that I want to export. So I have to use export, not save. That's something else I have to remind myself. Okay, so that's GIMP, right? There's a lot more. You know, you can make an entire course on this kind of stuff, and I can show you right here, right? This is exactly the border that we have on screen. So what we did was we went to, I believe, image, just showcase, image, transform, image, scale image. And so you can see the interface here says scale image, width, height, X and Y resolution. There's a little link here that means that they will have a fixed aspect ratio. And of course you can change the units, pixels, percentage, feet, yards, blah. And that's that. So I can close that now, basically. I don't think I'll need this, at least for now. Let me think about this. Do I need this open? I think we cover. And then there's effects here, by the way. You can like do some crazy, funny stuff here. Anyways, let's close it. I don't think we need it. Discard. Yeah, that's okay. Because we exported the file. Let me show you where the file is, in fact. So this is the OBS thing. And I'll show you right now. So here's the file with some of my assets. My ass. No. Alright, so here's the small one. Here's the kind of more... It's like the more, what do you say, compact. I can't find the right word. Shorter rectangle. So she said, okay, we have this one over here, which is the original. And then we have the one on the furthest left. And this one is the one, as you can see, I've named it scaled 963 by 600 pixels. And this one is actually just 1.5 smaller. So 642 by 400. So then afterwards, let's move this out of the way. You don't need to see this anymore. I don't even really necessarily want you to see the files, right? Let's go over to StreamElements. So that's probably where we'll end off, I think. There's too much to cover otherwise. It's already a long video as it stands. Let's go up here. So, okay, so we see all these tabs at the very top. Tabs galore. And we have so much to cover. By the way, this is a shout out to Blossom. So someone dropped by my Twitch by here, basically this live stream. Well, this is a video actually, sorry. By the live stream 24/7, and I was sleeping in ASMR or just chatting, whichever one I was left at, and I was sleeping. And she just, he or she, and dropped a hello. Sorry, I say she, but I don't believe it's, you know, it's Twitch. Like what? I know it's a meme. I know they are, but I mean, for the record, if someone's named Blossom, I automatically assume that it's a woman. So thanks for saying hello. Sorry I missed your comment and wasn't active at the moment. I was sleeping. There's a sleeping part of the stream 24/7, right? So there's a portion for sleeping. There's a portion where I go outdoors and it's like a security footage. There's a portion that's basically me reacting to content and watching shows together with myself, literally no one at the moment. And then aside from that, there's like work, like this kind of stuff, this behind the scenes stuff. I consider that work, working on the project. So good luck with your good luck. What am I doing? Good luck with your Twitch life goals, etc. Assuming you're not a bot. I'll do a little wink there. Sounds super cringe, but take care. And that's that. So just very simple. Thanks for dropping by. Sorry I missed your comment. I wasn't active. I was probably sleeping, or I just wasn't aware. Honestly, half the time I don't even realize that there's a comment. And good luck with your stuff. Now this one here, we don't need to talk too much about that, but expedite the process of what that has to do with like income tax. So I was trying to get in touch with my accountant. Speaking of which, you know what? Why don't we cover that? It's okay to talk about it. Let's minimize this a little bit. Let's talk about it a little bit. So there's real life responsibilities here as well, right? So I might as well talk about very briefly before we end this live stream alongside StreamElements, which to make sure that you have a constant reminder, I have to remember to do this more frequently. I'll open the tab that we want to talk about in the backdrop if we're on a tangent. So a slight tangent right now, before we cover this, which is StreamElements related to the border that we're talking about here on the whole OBS Studio stuff, there is some stuff in the backdrop. And I think it's fair to cover that kind of content right now that's got to do with physical, the real world, right? Because it's very, anytime you cover something like this video here, it's very meta, it's a self-reflective, it's content about the content, right? It's technical content. It's behind the scenes content, right? We break the fourth wall. So I think it's appropriate to talk about the other things. So let's cover it very briefly. So first of all, I have some garbage. Not the most exciting thing to start off with, right? So, but it is important. There's some food here, some cartridge, some napkins, throw away. I always like to make a little blessing every spreadsheet every day to remind myself to be grateful for certain things. It's the whole gratitude habit thing. I don't think people have a lot of time for that kind of thing nowadays, and I don't think I do either. But whenever I do remember, I try to do that. So even something really simple like garbage, and garbage from what? It was basically food from one of the tenants here, and so thank you for that. It's very good. It's this Stuffers Bistro Crostini. It's basically this like cheese and ham kind of thing, and thank you to him. Okay. And the next thing I want to do, so we got to throw that as garbage. That's food. That's a little bit of gratitude. And the next thing we have to do here is show something that's very material. I'm gonna maximize the display. Switch over to the reaction scene here. I have to get in touch with. Another thing is my cousin. So I have plenty of cousins, but one of them got back to me over just a fun exchange of some messages. He was showing me his setup over halfway across the country. He's moved off. I'm really happy about that because we worked really hard for the past 3-4 years to get his life together in order so that he could free himself from a very depressing situation, which again I'm not going to go into. So going back to StreamElements, okay, that's quite heavy, unfortunately. And I said it wasn't going to be a very heavy video, but it sounds like there were some underlying themes of heaviness. Okay, but let's move over to a different kind of theme. So this kind of theme is not having to do with relationships. Okay, this has more to do with the overlays. It's just basically some themes here that are listed on StreamElements that I've been making use of, right, in order to create this live stream OBS. And again, lots of thanks to Harris Heller for, teaching me all about this stuff, and also to Gaming Careers, the person behind that, really just assisting through all the tutorials that I've watched from them. The amount of impact that it's had on my ability to create something that I never thought I would be able to make of this complexity. And I know it's not really that complex, but for me it is, right? I get pretty stressed pretty easily, thanks to, again, the upbringing. So overall, this stuff here is usually beyond my head. I'm usually behind in tech. My friends at the time were always ahead by a couple years. When they were playing certain games, I would only join 2-3 years later. When they would join on social media like Facebook, I was on MSN. And then when they were onto like Instagram and stuff like that, I was finally on Facebook. So I'm usually very behind on tech, trying to do all this adulting stuff, right? And then I say, I don't have time for social media and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I always fell behind, and I was not very good with that kind of stuff. Things have sort of changed, obviously, now. But what I will say is I didn't think I would be able to create a stream like this, looking at all the red borders and all the fancy little stuff here and the trinkets at the bottom. This I owe a lot of thanks to Harris Heller, his Alpha Gaming channel, so shout out to him, and also to Gaming Careers. So that was, what's his name? I don't know his name, but he's got this like really nice British accent, and his setup's really professional. And his Discord is very well structured. It's very, very stringent, and very professional because of that. Okay, so let's dive into my overlays here, and then we can wrap up this stream. So we can see StreamElements, data reports, streaming tools. This part is being blocked out right now, I realize, by the interactive media like gadget that I've set on the top left. That's okay, it's not that important. We see all overlays, campaigns, favorites. We see down here, Red Flare Super Theme, and it's basically, there's all of these things that are all associated with the Red Flare Super Theme. I really enjoy that because that is basically the brand that's associated with the Honorable Project, or what was the Honorable Project. This is like I said, the evolution of that, the Respite shelter, the digital Respite shelter, the orphanage that is Jira, from this, process. Anyways, the projects. Okay, so what we can do is click on each and every single one of these, and it can pop up all the different scene overlays. So we have one here. We have multiple of these open, and I can finally say that we can get rid of them because we actually finished what we need to get done, and we're covering on stream, so that's good. First one here, we have the Be Right Back scene that is very familiar. As I mentioned, this is the first one, the first ones I started this video with. We can see there's like a little bit of a... Okay, so we can maximize. You can drag this up here. It's like a menu for emulating, for copying, for undoing, for moving forward with actions, for zooming in and zooming out. We have things here to fit to the whole screen. We have something to mute the audio with editor. Down here, we have all these different elements you can highlight by selecting on them. And on the left-hand side will be all the details related to it. So we have settings, Be Right Back, change image, and of course, stay tuned and all that kind of stuff. So if I showcase you all the layers, if I just minimize here for a second and pull it to the side so you can actually see outside of the widget, if we click on the drop-down menus, right, for layers, it'll show you everything. So icons, multiple icons, alert boxes, the recent donation, recent subscriber, sponsor, and then you have all this metadata here that can extract your name, currency, amount, taking short breaks, stay tuned, all that kind of stuff. Just pulls all the information from your channel or from your profile. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of slipping my hand through the ring clamp. Over here we have more text, Respite Shelter, Jira, standing for Jirovsky, React 24/7, CPTSD, Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, AI, Artificial Intelligence. We got the different platforms, Patreon, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, blah-de-da, all that kind of crap. And we've got the messages here, stay tuned, taking a short break. Some of these are default. In fact, a lot of them are. The only things that might swapped out are maybe say I swapped out the Discord from Twitter, or maybe I swapped out like a Twitch from Instagram because I don't use Instagram that often. And it's not really a very useful part of the project. Discord, at least right now. And then just Patreon here too. You can change the name, you can switch the text, you can change the font, all that interesting stuff. And of course, if you go to settings, you can find out the positioning, the style, the text settings. So let's get rid of this one. This is the Be Right Back scene, right? Close 3 tabs. Oh, we'll just save it. Save it. Okay, save it. Okay, go back. And then if we click back, it just brings it back to the dashboard with all the overlays. So you see right now, this is basically why we have so many tabs. So we got 3 tabs out of the way. Here's another one. Another one can drop away. It's got to do with just the dashboard. And here is an example of the intermission scene. So right here on the intermission scene, you can see, of course, 2 kind of empty transparent slots for me to put, for you to put really. This theme is available for free, of course. StreamElements is amazing. You know, a little credit to that. You can go to StreamElements and just get a whole bunch of very professional themes created by graphics artists. Again, I had to learn all this as well, right? And as will you. I won't be the first or the last. So we have this stuff here. It's all for free. Top right left hand corner, you got all this empty stuff here, probably for like usually I believe this is a scene that's for gameplay. Again, I don't play games right now, but maybe in the future, if I have if it ends up becoming a productive part of this, if we can sort of help people who are actually gaming, who knows? I don't really see that happening anytime soon. But over here we have on the top left is like this little window. Again, that's the small size. Unedited, just the default, and that's for usually putting the webcam. The larger one here on the side is for the gameplay itself, and then the rest is just a theme of, you know, graphics. I don't think it's very useful. I think nowadays you want to use this might be like 2016-esque, so like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, you had something like this. It seemed really cool. You have all these like pointers down here to point to your Discord, your Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, Patreon or something like that. But it takes up way too much space, and I think the open concept is a lot better. It's just also allowed a lot more, how do you say, it's I don't know if authentic is the right word, because I still believe this is possible to be authentic with this. It's just very cluttered, so it's not a very effective thing to use unless, as I said, right now I use this theme for intermission. Okay, just for connecting with the audience, I think. And that's one of those tips that is just kind of common sense, but that Harris Heller on Alpha Gaming, now called Senpai Gaming, he really makes note of that in one of his videos as being a very important thing. So you could have an intermission scene to make sure that you're always discussing with your viewers. Next one, another backdrop theme, so we can get rid of this as well. And then finally, we're here with the largest the most how do you say, the most webcam friendly. This captures the entire room because it's basically just putting the webcam at the very backdrop. That's what I've done. However, this would actually be the gameplay scene for most people. Okay, they put the backdrop, and then you have the entire game interface, whatever game you're playing. I think people who usually do this kind of stuff and use this kind of format are playing FPS first-person shooters. But I guess you could also be using something like you can also be playing like strategy RTS. Like I don't know, back then it was like League of Legends was pretty big. Maybe it still is now, but I think people are kind of grown up. They don't really play so addictively anymore. It's really matured, the scene. You have some windows here. Again, you can see not windows, but assets here. The border on the left-hand side is smaller, more square, and the one on the right-hand side is quite larger, and it's a rectangle. And in fact, this rectangle, this border is something that I uploaded. It's originally about the same size as the one on the left. This is in fact the border that was uploaded after scaling up the size from GIMP, which is a full turnaround. So we just went back to the beginning of this video, and I think that's a good point to leave it at. So we'll save this, and we'll go back, and we will close this overlay, this tab. Okay, and let's see if there's any other tabs related to StreamElements that we can knock off here. I see one here on the side. Okay, so on the point of StreamElements, there's also something I thought was really cool. Is they allow a tipping page. So this is not an advertisement, guys. This is just me showcasing how professional I thought that their stuff was. I didn't realize that they had updated it, and I also didn't think that. I thought that already by default the border that they had in the backdrop. StreamElements has this kind of, their website is sort of how would you describe it? It's all purple. It's like the night sky. That's what it feels like. It feels like one of those like you're staring into a dream space in an arcade with the twinkling stars in the backdrop and the aurora borealis kind of thing. I didn't really feel the need to change the theme or the backdrop of my tipping page, but I figured, okay, why not? Now that we're going to make things a little bit more professional, because I already really liked the way StreamElements, their own webpage, their design is. So right now, I decided to maybe just try using my own assets, and it seems like it's really good. So you look at the backdrop here, we have that kind of, comes from a live stream way back in the day, and I applied a filter over it, a glitch effect, plus the opal colors. So there's a red and blue theme, also black and white. And then we also have at the very backdrop, this is from actually a purchase from Etsy. This says, butterflies are often considered beautiful representations of the various stages of life. From a humble beginning in their caterpillar stage to the dramatic transformation into a butterfly, these creatures demonstrate that pain, adversity, and a simple change a simple change can make life even more beautiful than before. Many cultures equate the butterfly with the endurance and hope of the human soul. This series of blank blah. So it continues on. Long story short, that was included with an Etsy purchase I made for Bibles, believe it or not. That's right. I bought the New Testament because of another friend I had. Speaking about relationships, or someone I haven't caught up with in a while, and I feel pretty guilty about that. I'll be honest, and we have so much going on in our lives, right? I'm sure he's doing this thing. He doesn't have time for it anyways. But he's been really insistent. He always wants to get in touch with me, and I feel like keep just letting him down, man. Anyways, he's a real great person. He's actually a father, a reverend at a precinct, I guess you could say. And so I bought a Bible because of him and his community. Really, I bought several, in fact, and I want to gift one of those to him and his circle, his house church, fellow house church members during a what you call a dirty Christmas, dirty Santa, white elephant gift exchange. I wasn't able to make it there on time. That's part of the reason why I feel kind of bad. But overall, that's where this card comes from. It's also from, on a related note, I also kind of networked a little bit with the person selling this, who is a really great person as well. Again, no names mentioned, but she sells like Bibles. So this is a Gideon's International, and she sells she has a whole crafts shop dedicated on Etsy for her on Etsy for her own creations. Okay, and so I found this was a really great card that resonates very similarly to the themes. And you can see I cut it out, obviously, because I don't want to make any copyright issues here. I don't share it. I take no ownership for it. All it is just putting it as a header, a tiny slice of this at the backdrop. And it fits very well with the themes. I felt not only is the color of a red and black butterfly with all these intricate weavings and artistry, because I used to be quite artistic myself, at the very top left here. And now we're very practical, I guess you could say. Still not practical enough. On the left-hand side, the text that says that is a depiction of the transformation and stages of life of a butterfly. I thought that was very, the soul, the dramatic transformation, very, very symbolic, right? Very philosophical. It's definitely in line, in sync with what we do here at the Respite Shelter Jira and the projects as a whole, the process, the evolutionary process of consciousness and awareness that has burgeoned from the Honorable Project, a self-therapeutic multimedia project, and so on and so forth, self-improvement process. Okay, so we'll just read briefly then. Thanks for supporting the effort. We'll be reinvesting in the exploration of the crevices of the internet for community therapy, self-help guides, and world niche exploration. I put some memes here, right? 420 Blaze It, Leet, that's what they're all, 777 for the lucky sevens of an old-time game, but also for the casino, good luck, and 2048 for a tile. A tiling game that was blowing up back in the day. All right, send a message or tip. Like you don't have to do. You don't have to do any of this. This is just me putting my stuff here to showcase the interface that I was really surprised about. This looks super nice. A tipping page, and you can also, of course, go and tip to your PayPal or some stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna close that, and I think we'll end this video. I think that's about it. The next video is gonna be pretty heavy. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to cover. Oh, you know what? We can close this too. In fact, we can cover this. So because we talked about GIMP, graphic image manipulation program, right? Which was used to edit the borders, which you see above, below, right around me on this webcam of the scene of OBS. GIMP GNU image manipulation program. The free and open source image editor. This is the official website for the GNU image manipulation program, GIMP, which is a cross-platform image editor available in Linux, Mac OS system, and Windows, and more. It's free software. You can change its source code, even open source, and distribute your changes. Whether you're a graphic designer, photographer, illustrator, or scientist, GIMP provides you with sophisticated tools to get your job done, and you can further enhance your productivity with GIMP thanks to many customization options and third-party plugins. So recent news in a GSOC help manual released annual report. High quality photo manipulation. So if you're doing photo manips, high quality image for restoring creative composites. The only limit is your imagination. On the right hand side, very similar to what I used to do, kind of like a fantasy genre artwork, original artwork creation. GIMP gives artists the power and flexibility to transform. So this is amazing here. This dragon here on the side really reminds me of something along the lines of like a RuneScape. You got this guy here throwing around a flail. Reminds me of like some kind of iron mace, and he's wearing some armor that looks like a rune plate body. And that dragon there, what does it look like? It's just a red dragon, anyways. Graphic design elements. GIMP is used for producing icons, graphical design elements, art, programming algorithms. High quality framework for scripted image manipulation. Multi-language support. C++, Perl, Python, Scheme. I've been learning Python. Key component not very good at it though. Key component in a desktop publishing workflow. Provides top-notch color management features to ensure high-fidelity color reproduction across digital and printed media. Best used in workflows, blah. And you have all these other things involving other free. It is best used in workflows involving other free software, such as Scribus, Inkscape, and Swatchbooker. I don't know what Swatchbooker is. What is Scribus? Extensibility and flexibility. Okay, all that stuff. So of course, footer, download GIMP news about documentation. So a manual if you want to learn, get tutorials, get involved, books, sponsors, roadmap for development, release notes. I can explore the whole thing here. Okay, extensibility through integration with many other programming languages. Well, it results in a high level customization. That's pretty obvious. Anyone who looks at GIMP can tell that it's very easily customizable. Let's take a look at what they were talking about. Swatchbooker.